Well, listeners, German power metal greats Orden Ogan have got a brand new album coming out, and we thought today that we would actually get one of the members of the band on the phone to chat about this amazing album which is coming out on July 5th called The Order of Fear, and we've actually got Sieb from the band on the phone right now to chat about it. Welcome to the program, mate.
Good evening, good morning, whatever the time it is on this earth right now.
Definitely. Now, mate, I've had a chance to listen to this album, and it's an absolutely sensational album, so congratulations on that.
Thanks a lot. It was a lot of work, but I sure think it was worth it. Sorry, we had a show yesterday night. It's in Germany. It's very early in the morning, and I'm still not really awake. You know, it is so. It might be that I mix up my words a little bit.
That's all right. Now I have to ask, how did the show go? What was it like getting out there and playing some of these new tracks live?
Oh, it was awesome. I think especially The Order of Fear is an absolute audience fan favorite already. It works live really, really well, so I think that will stay in our set for a very long time.
Now, you mentioned about working very hard on this album. Tell us a little bit about what it was like in the early days when you first started working on this album. What kind of discussions were you having as a band about what you wanted to achieve with this album?
Oh, that was actually an interesting story, because when we started working on that, I mean, I have to start somewhere else, because we don't do Orden Ogan as a commercial project. I mean, Orden Ogan has quite a lot of commercial success these days, but still, it's what we love to do. It's what we want to do. So even if there were like just 50 people per show coming up or showing up, we would still do it because we love to do this. So that translates to making the albums. It has to be great for us, not for somebody else. We don't write it for somebody. We write it because this is the music that we love to make. And when we started working on the album, everything that we wrote felt somehow wrong. It was like we knew where we wanted to go, but everything was just feeling not good enough. Yeah. And there's a funny story, because there's a fan, like a super fan from Uruguay, who caught our attention because he basically released an Orden Ogan cover version like every 2 weeks. And some of the changes that he made to the cover versions, when he got a little bit more creative, in some parts they were even greater than the original, in my opinion. And so at some point I just gave him a call, and he was super starstruck, which was super funny because we're all like very down to earth, easygoing, normal people, and the concept of being starstruck is alien for every one of us, like for everybody in the band. But for him, it must have been like as if James Hetfield has given him a call, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh man, this is so crazy." And we were talking a little bit, and then at some point I was just like, could you imagine or picture yourself writing a song for the next Orden Ogan record? And he was like, "Oh man, this is so great, I would love to." And then he asked me where we wanted to go and everything, and like 2 days later I got the first idea that was amazing and just got into one of the songs straight away. And this guy, he really breathes Orden Ogan and eats it like every day. It's like it's like his breakfast and his dinner. It's like everything that he does every day is Orden Ogan. So he knew exactly how it should have sounded, and in the end it was not that much from him that landed up on the record. It was like, I don't know, like maybe 7 or 8 ideas or something.
Yep.
But what it did for us, it basically showed us how we were supposed to sound like. And at that point, that was amazing input, and then the record basically wrote itself. It went super quick, and I mean, the story's not even over, because right now he's actually thinking about moving to Germany from Uruguay.
Oh wow!
Which is basically on the other side of the planet, just as you guys are. So let's see. It's a real Hollywood story, actually.
Like, for him to move to Germany, is that because you would like to work with him again? Like, what's the plan there if he does move to Germany?
Yeah, I mean, as you might know, I'm not doing only Orden Ogan. I'm also working as a producer in the studio. I work with bands like Rhapsody of Fire, Brainstorm. I mixed and mastered the last Asphyx record, for example. And I'm also doing other projects myself, like Angus Mac 6. That was also my idea and my project. And there's even another band coming up. So there's a lot to do in the studio. And also, with Orden Ogan, this worked so well because he gave so much amazing input. And also, I don't think that, or he says at least that Uruguay is not actually the very best place to live, not the very best spot on the planet right now. So he's actually thinking about like coming over so that we can produce together, and I think it's a really nice story.
Definitely. Steve, going back to what you said before as well, when you said that you first started working on this album and it felt like it just wasn't working, that's very, very big for an artist to admit. There are probably a lot of artists out there that should have admitted that with their albums over the years and didn't. But was that a big step for you to have to admit that this is not working? And is that something that you'd found had happened previously when you'd been sitting down to work on an album as well?
No, it was not a big step, because I personally think that the most important thing for a writer and a producer is to spot the things that do not work. This is basically what I do each day. You know, like when I work with other bands, it's like, okay, this and that doesn't work. And also, like I said before, it's not. I don't feel like any pressure from the record company or anything when it is about like you have to release another record or so, blah blah. Because I just said we mainly do this for ourselves. And if we came to a point where it wouldn't work anymore, I wouldn't do it. I'd rather not release a record than to release something mediocre. And no, it's not. But maybe this is also how I am. I'm a very analytic person and a little bit less on the emotional side, if you understand what I mean. Definitely. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we had to find a solution, and I think we found a great one. And let's see how it goes with the next one.
Definitely. Now, I've had the pleasure of listening to the album, but for our listeners at the moment, they've only heard 3 of the tracks. Can you tell us a little bit about themes or anything like that might flow through this album as we again follow the saga of Alistair Vale?
Yeah, okay, maybe I start at the very beginning with the album Vale that was released in 2008. So it's actually about an aristocrat. His name is Alistair Vale. He rules an empire with a circle of other aristocrats, but in this circle there's a lot of corruption and bad stuff going on. So he's like, okay, I have to do something about it, and he thinks that the only way to make the world better is to destroy the circle so that something like democracy or something else has got a chance. So he destroys the circle for the greater good, but the problem is that one of the guys in the circle curses him, and the curse basically says that he has to keep walking forevermore. He can never stop or never rest at a place for a long time, maybe a day or two or something, but he cannot stay for a very long time, so he always has to keep moving. But the problem is that everything that he leaves somehow decays or dies behind him. People don't necessarily have to die, but something bad is going to happen. So that is a problem.
Yeah.
Because he has become like the personified Reaper, and he is actually like over all these albums, all these years, he's searching for a solution, and then he hears about an ancient order that is basically nameless, but in ancient law is commonly referred to as Orden Ogan, which is Orden is the German word for order, and Ogan is Old Celtic for fear.
Yep.
So it's the order of fear. And he finds these guys on the album Ravenet in 2015, and he has to do some bad stuff in order to get information, and in the end he gets some information, but the information basically just says, you have to find the eldest of our order, and they're not here, they're in another spot. And so he keeps searching through Gunman in 2017 and Final Days in 2021, the other records. And then now finally he finds the monks of the Order of Fear. And the eldest basically tells him the only way to break the curse is to do something that is even more evil than what was done to him. And he says you have to to shed the blood of one true friend in the moonlight. And there's basically just one friend. His name is Abel, who follows him since the album Eastern Hope in 2010, because he knows that if he stays behind, he's got a problem. So he's basically following Vale all these years. And so then there you get the philosophical question about the good for many or the good for one person, or versus the good for one person. And Vale thinks about it and then decides, okay, I have to end all this because I'm causing so much harm that I have to do something about it. So he basically kills his friend on the rooftop of that house, on the cover artwork. And then not like a little time later, he realizes that he got betrayed by the monks of the Order Ogan, the Order of Fear, and they start to laugh, and then he knows, okay, something is wrong here. And what happened is that they basically performed some sort of a ritual on him, and now they even amplified his curse, and also woke up. What do you say? Awaken?
Yeah.
An ancient demon. That they pray to this ancient demon, and they wake him up now. And so by the end of the record, you've got the curse that is even more powerful than before. And this elderly, or this old, what do you say? Like this ancient demon, whatever. Who is now roaming the earth, and so we've got some major problems to face on the next record.
Definitely, this whole saga with Alistair, for those of us that have been following it from the start, it is such an amazing story. Have you guys thought about doing something else with the story as well? Have you thought about like a movie or a streaming TV series or graphic novels? Have you ever thought about branching out and doing more with it as well? Because it is such an amazing story.
I love the story as well. We put the concept into the Vale record in the beginning. Later on, we didn't even write it down. We were like, okay, for the people who are interested, they will find it out through the lyrics, but most people didn't. Maybe the task is just too complicated. We're actually thinking about like writing everything down, like the full story, and maybe we'll do something like a Patreon or so later on this year.
Yep.
Like some sort of paid fan club where we will like release the story in a comic form, or maybe it will be a book form, whatever. I think a comic or a book should be the first step before you think about like doing a series or something that we could think about later. Yep.
Yeah, and once again, you've got amazing artwork on this album from Dan Goldsworthy. What's that like for you when you get Dan's artwork coming back to you? Are you marveled every time you see what he's done with the new artwork?
We've worked with Andreas Marshall in the past. He did all the artworks from Vale to Gunman. And this is the first time for us working with Dan, and it was amazing. He's a super nice guy. He's very, very talented. I think it even looks a little bit similar from the style from what Andreas Marshall has done. Though I think that Dan really nailed it. I think for me it's the best Orden Ogan artwork we ever had. And the process of working with him was actually great, because he was constantly giving us updates on how he thinks that the cover should progress. From time to time it was just like little scribbles on like maybe we put something here and put something there. And that was amazing for me as an artist as well, because then you could basically give feedback and say, okay, let's do it like a little bit differently from here and change this and that. So that was amazing. This was the best I've ever worked on a cover artwork, like from the process. And like I said before, I think it's the best artwork that we ever had. And what I also love in particular about this is that there's a reference to every other album on the cover artwork, like a little Easter egg, like for the fans. It's really nice to try to spot them all.
Definitely. Now I have to ask, I know we're running out of time very quickly, but what have you guys got planned for the rest of this year now? Are you hoping to get out there and do more shows, and is there any chance that we might see an Australian tour at some stage as well?
I would love to come to Australia. It has to have like has to make sense somehow for us economically. So if there's a promoter listening who really wants to bring Orden Ogan to Australia, I would be up for it. Other than that, this year there's a lot of European festivals for us going on. We're basically on the road constantly, with very nice festivals and very nice festival slots. I'm really looking forward to the summer. And then there's the release with the release shows. And in the end of the year, we'll do another European run with our friends in Feuerschwanz. We've been on the tour with them already in April. And so that's that for this year, and then there might be news very soon for the beginning of 2025.
Awesome. Well, we cannot wait to hear that news. But to finish off right now, what would you like to say to all of the listeners out there before they get a chance to listen to the Order of Fear on July the 5th?
When I get asked these questions, I always answer the same thing. It's basically just thank you. Like, thanks for being there. Thanks for listening to our stuff. Thanks for buying our records, because without you, we couldn't do what we do, and we highly appreciate that so many people these days really seem to like what we're doing. You keep heavy metal alive, and thanks for the support.